Hello, young ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another VSN 2030 Twitter Spaces session via Bahas Bola. My name is Muhammad Yunus, your moderator or your host for this evening. The topic for today is sports and economics, understanding true value or the true value of sports. All right, with us today is the featured speaker is Faiz from Super Bobai Cup. Dr. Subra is still finding ways of connecting to us. I think there's some technical issue from his side. But we've also bumped up Brother Khal, the founder of Padang Bola Sepak. Now, the reason why we have these two gentlemen here is because they were the fellas that brought up this issue actually about the sports satellite account and valuation of sports. And we feel that it pretty much inspired the committee to agree on coming up with a session specific on the valuation of sports. So before we go on to talk more about valuation of sports, let's give our fellow guests here 30 seconds to introduce themselves. Even some of you here know them, but let's just give them that 30 seconds of fame. Let's start with Faiz. Faiz, tell us about yourself. You got 30 seconds, mate. The floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum. Good evening, everybody. So I hope everyone is well and relaxed at home. So my name is Faiz. I've been into football. Sports in general. I'm into football since forever lah. But maybe highly active was a high school lah. But I really took it seriously in 2015, where I left my job and started to open up my own futsal court in Segambut. But it's not there anymore because of landlord issue and all. So, and then from there we started doing, I started doing a lot of R&Ds within within 2015 until now. I was just trying to find out what's the best solution to really fix our sports in the next 10 or 20 years. I will share more with you what I'm doing, but 30 seconds, right?
30 seconds.
Yeah, go. I'm done.
Okay, never mind. We'll give more opportunity for him to share whatever that he's working on, as well as his views on our topic for today. Carl, 30 seconds. The floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum, good evening. Thanks Yunus and Faiz for the invitation. Founder Padang Bola Sepak punya Twitter, website, doing things with Faiz juga, and many other friends across Klang Valley, East Coast and Penang as well. Interested to listen to what Faiz and Dr. Subra has to contribute to tonight's topic lah, just to take our minds off on what's going on with the pandemic, and hopefully looking forward to the future. Itu je lah.
Alright. I just got a message. Faiz, can you hear?
Yeah. Actually, I cannot hear Carl, but on my screen he's like connecting. There's a circle there saying he's connecting. So I don't know why I cannot hear Carl. Can you hear me, Carl?
Carl?
Boleh dengar?
Okay, alright. I boleh dengar. I can see Dr. Subra.
Yeah, Dr. Subra is there.
Yeah, I've already invite to speak. I'm not sure whether he got the notification, but never mind. I'll work this out as we go ahead, as we go along. All right. Thank you. All right. So let's go straight to the topic, right? And the topic is about sports and economics, understanding true value of sports. Before we begin, I just want to share what happened today. Today, as early as 9 a.m., there was the first workshop on the definition of sports industry. And what KBS did, or the Committee for Sports Industry did, was that they gathered approximately around 40 stakeholders to help define sports industry. This is a very critical step, and it's the very first step for the construction of the sports satellite account. Faiz, tell me, um, are you excited? Number one, and number two, what are the considerations that needs to be taken in consideration when it comes to defining the scope of sports?
Yeah. So, hi guys. The first question is, am I excited for what? For the beginning of a sport,
Are you excited that the process of constructing or establishing the sports satellite account is already work in progress?
Okay. So, so ever since you invited me last week to join you, and you told me the topic at hand is actually sports economics, understanding the true value of sports. I don't know, am I the correct person for you to bring up for this? But I'm not actually a economist expert or something. But I do love sports, like everyone else in this room, we do love playing sports. And I can see where is our weakness and where is our strong suit in sports. To say, am I excited with sports? Yes, I'm really excited with sports, especially football, because my background is actually filling up things to do with football. But if I have to be honest with the process, that you guys have been doing, I mean, you guys are doing a good job. But my question is, I don't know how far are we going to be excited for it? Because is it a temporary excitement or it's going to be a long term? Because I think if people have been following Bobai, and you know that we are very vocal and very honest about what we feel, I feel that VSN 2030 is like another VC that my first VC that I heard was under KJ, was TN50, and then I went to Syed Sadiq's town hall and all, and he had a vision. I don't know what it called back then, and now under the new minister we have a new vision. So I feel that the problem it doesn't. It seems that it's not from KBS the problem comes from. I think the problem is like way higher on the hierarchy. We've got a problem here. We've really got a problem here. We have this problem where we have no idea what is our true value of sports, because maybe we lack in transparency. Maybe we lack in the part where we work together, in terms of community. I'm quite frustrated because I see that a lot of people do have their own opinion, okay, which is good, okay, but that opinion only helps as an individual. It doesn't help us as a team rising up together. That quote of menang bersama, kalah bersama. We can say it so many times, but I don't think we are practicing it very well. In our head, this is how Malaysia works. We always talk a good game, but we never really exercise it properly. So, I'm being honest. Okay, I'm really being honest. I think because the first things first, we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to be open and transparency. But I'm not considering 100% condemning what the new guys are doing with Datuk Rizal. I kind of appreciate the part where I spoke to Shamil the other day that he's doing on data sukan. I think data is important. Data is something that we should move forward in sports. Do you know what I just realized this morning? With all these COVID cases that's going on, it actually, the positive thing about it in sports terms, is actually because of this COVID thing, now the public do appreciate more about stats. Do you realize that? That
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of people are hungry for statistical insights and numbers.
Yeah, that is a very positive thing, which I think that can work with what Shamil and VSN is trying to do. But once again, I know you guys got a vision and everything, and you guys have KPI to follow. But once again, I don't know how long this is gonna, because I think most of us in here in this group understand that if we change our government, there's going to be a new leader and there's going to be a new vision. So I still think the problem doesn't lie here with sports. I think you guys are doing a good job with sports. I think we all are contributing ourselves with sports, but we have to face reality and face the facts that we are actually a very small minority in the industry. But we are a small minority in the industry. Tapi kenapa sports is one of the most especially football lah. Football is one of the most popular sports in Malaysia. I don't know where do I get my stats, but I was talking to my friend this evening that there is no proven stats of it. Tapi obviously, you can see that it is real that football is the number one sport in Malaysia. But why we're not growing, I have no idea. Where's the wrong? I hope somebody can share with me.
All right, thanks, Faiz. Thanks for your honest opinion. I've even got like WhatsApp messages saying that they like you, because of your honesty.
Hey guys, I'm on.
Yes, Dr. Subra. I was just about to mention that. Congratulations, you're connecting through a mobile phone. Is it now?
That's right. So sorry, guys. The older generation, we are a bit slow.
All right, Dr. Subra, we just started, but I'm going to give you 30 seconds just to do an intro of yourself. Can you do that?
Okay, sure, right. Will do. My name is Subra, and first of all, thank you for inviting me for this talk. I started off my career as a teacher. Passion in football took me, after 12 years of teaching, I left and went into football and never looked back, and have been to throughout the world, particularly only on football, and I've been involved A to Z in football, so practically I'm a football man. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thank you, Dr. Subra. We're going to go straight to a question for you.
Okay.
As you know, there are works at the Ministry of Youth and Sports to develop a sports satellite account,
okay,
right? Which is an instrument that will give value to sports, right? At that session, FAM was there as well at the session.
Okay.
And the first session was to define the scope of sports, right? So my question is, through all your works with football, not just here in Malaysia, but around the world, Indonesia, Eastern Europe, what, to your opinion, when we value sports, what is the most important thing? Is it the tangible value of that sport or the intangible value of that sport?
Well, I would say both. It is very difficult to draw a line and say the tangibles are more important than the intangibles, but I would say sports in general can do things that normal people under normal circumstances can't achieve. So it ranges from unity right through up to business. And we got to look at it from every aspect of it. That's how I feel. If you want to look at how a human being is developed through sports, it has its points to say. If you look at sports from the economic point of view, from the business point of view, massive. In a nutshell, if you look at if you look at the North American sports industry way back in 2019, it grew up to about $73.5 billion US, which is equivalent to the GDP of smaller countries like Sri Lanka, Maldives, and so on. So, on the business side, on the economic side, it is very big. But on the other hand, Nelson Mandela said that sports can do things that other things can't do. Sports can unite. Sports can bring people together, irrespective of race, religion, irrespective of political followings. It brings you together at a point of time, whether you support a single team or a single athlete. That is the power of sports. This is what I look at, and this is what. Particularly, if we may say, FAM should look at.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.
I got a follow-up question to that, Doctor.
Yeah.
You say that there's a lot of you mentioned Nelson Mandela. I just watched Invictus yesterday with my wife. Really great movie. Anyway, what I noticed about a lot of things in sports, right, especially at the recent Euro, I've also noticed that, when it comes to sport, it's all about success. And it's only when success that you will see people, being united, people being positive. And that's why politicians also bank on, success in sports competitions of events, to gain that political mileage, to bank on those successes, to leverage that political mileage. But what is that what is sports only good for? It's only good when it's a success. When it's not a success, it's an absolute failure. We've seen what happened to the English player after he missed a penalty that was crucial at the final game, and we see the kind of backlash that he received. So. Where's the social capital in there?
Having said whatever I said earlier, what you mentioned earlier about the black player being lashed out after missing the penalty, racism exists in every nook and corner of the world. You cannot take that away. Yeah. For every 10 good guys, there will be one bad guy, so to say. So, if you look at Iceland, they started a very small 800,000 people, but at one point of time, 2016, if I'm not mistaken, they were one of the first countries to qualify for Euro. At the same time, even if you look at Belgium, for that matter, Belgium took some time to achieve what it had achieved in the last World Cup. So success comes over a period of time. I would say all countries would have started at one point of time at somewhere. Okay, I'll give you an example. Yeah, I was in Germany in 2003 doing a UEFA coaching course, and in 2002, Germany had just lost the World Cup finals to Brazil in Korea, Japan. And in October 2003, the German government came out with a 10-year plan, setting aside $10 million a year on a 10-year development plan to get back what they have lost. It was not 2006 World Cup, it was not 2010 World Cup, but they aimed at the 2014 World Cup. So, yes, they had success earlier in 1990, but they lost. Although it was up to the finals they came, but it went on. But they had a long-term plan laid out. And if you see the 2014 World Cup team, it was made up of at least 7 or 8 of their top players were from the development program that was set forth in 2003. So they did not, retract. They did not go back. They did not say anything as what our people would claim to say, that we have failed and so on. Yeah, winning and losing is part of the game. That's what we got to accept. But what I feel is, of course, all of us want to win. And if we were to lose, you have to go back to the drawing table to see where we have gone wrong and how we can actually improve that wrong and to come back. Italy lost in 1994 World Cup by a mere penalty, to Brazil. And now you see they have won the Euro Championships. Of course, even in Italy, even in Germany, when I was in Germany, the crowd, especially when clubs are playing, there is a background study of the crowd, of the spectators, which shows that some of them are minors and they are a bit crude compared to another group of people who are middle class and they are well behaved in the stadium. Even among themselves, there is kind of racism and that kind of thing which happens everywhere. So I wouldn't draw a line and say that success follows support follows success. I wouldn't say that. I would say that our politicians, our management administrators need to be educated how to look at failures, how to take risks, and what to do next. Not to point a finger and blame each other and let it go. That's what I would say.
All right, thank you, Dr. Subra. Yeah. I absolutely agree with you. I think it's all about not to reinforce those sentiments that people had, especially after you immediately lost.
Yeah.
But to come up with a plan and frame that so that the people could ride and have some kind of social cohesion.
Yep, absolutely.
I got a follow-up question, but before I go on to that, I just want to ask Faiz. Is Faiz there, right? Yeah. Okay, great. The sports satellite account is a tangible instrument that looks into the value of sports in relations to the GDP. It would definitely value segments of the economy that has contributed more to sports in comparison to others. Now, what is your concern when it comes to grassroots football, right, or grassroots sports? Because at the end of the day, my assumption is that the contribution of grassroots sports to the economy would not be as much in comparison to other segments. Do you agree with that? And if you do, what are your concerns?
Okay, so first of all, we have to be realistic. We have to be true to ourselves. We are trying to compare ourselves with other countries, which it doesn't make sense. This is my opinion, okay? I don't know how much my opinion is gonna be helping you guys out, but I'll give you an example. I remember that a few years back, FAM was trying to collaborate with JFA, Japan FA, to have their structure to implement here in Malaysia. Once I heard that, I say it will never work. Why? Because whatever they grow up with is not the same like how we grew up with. Okay, so for the past few years, I figured it out actually. If you've been following me, I've been mentioning that so much that I believe that the problem is not with our sports. It's our education and development mentality and society, and like I spoke to my friend this evening, is the ecosystem that we have to fix. That's the number one factor, which I think before we want to move on to anything else, I think we should go back from grassroots lah. Okay, tak guna pun kalau kita buat so many grassroots development, so many academies, but we don't come up with anything. Okay, we don't come up with a proper structure of, maybe if we're lucky we can get a good player like Lukman from me, but like I said I remember that is he here? Safirul pernah bercerita juga. Dia kata in Qatar ke Japan, they have this academy where they have almost 1,000 applications a year, And in that 1,000 applications, they are just looking for one or two to become the superstars, to become superstar. Like let's say the standard of macam to make it as big as, for example, who's a moderate player, who's a mediocre player in the Premier League. Let's say like somebody like that. And I don't think we as a society in Malaysia do have that patience to understand that process, because if he has proven with Lim Tiong Kim itself, he has a bigger, wider plan to do it for 10 years, but because of us losing one tournament, he's fired. You know, he already mentioned that it's not Rome isn't built in a day. In a day meaning not in 5 years, not even. It's going to be a development course. It has to go through. It's everything about going through. Okay, yeah. The message has to come across. I think we should, instead of us trying to talk and be a speaker, motivational speaker of sports, how to grow it, how to develop it. Maybe we should start focusing at a very young age of kids, because I think it's a bit too late for my generation to be successful in sports. Maybe boleh lah sikit buat duit sikit, but why don't, since we're here, why don't we do something for our kids in the future? We don't have a proper even platform for our sports in school. We only have sekolah sukan saja, I think, but we don't have there's no motivation to be a sportsman in Malaysia.
Faiz,
yeah.
I just want to ask you, right? I mean, are you saying that investment into sport, that value, right, is diluted because there's no value added, or there's no multiplier effect? Is that what you're saying? You're saying that whatever that we invested into sports is not going to be optimum because there's a lot of fundamentals within the ecosystem that hasn't developed yet in order for it to be optimized, in order for it to have a greater multiplier effect. Is that what you're saying?
Okay, once again, this is just my opinion, just because I was given the chance to speak in this platform. Okay, I have no ideas of the numbers, because I do my research and everything. I still couldn't find the proper numbers on channel to get to understand the development and growing of sports in Malaysia. I know there's sports, but the thing is, I don't see it's growing. Okay, I'm not saying that investments are bad, but I think investment should be looked upon as in maybe instead of us focusing for the next 10 years, why don't we do things one by one? We have a mission within 1 year. Within 1 year, let's try to, what we want to do in 1 year. Just start simple. Just focus, because I feel that we cannot do bigger things, because bigger things, there's always something that is blocking us to do on the vision. Why don't VSN just focus on something small, in a smaller scale? I understand that the VSN 2030 has stages of moving forward, but I feel like an example. Okay, let's say to let KBS collaborate with shopping malls. Okay, as you know, shopping malls are the number one thing here in Malaysia. Everybody goes to shopping mall. So try to understand our community. Since we all like to go to a shopping mall, why don't you do a a sports center inside the shopping mall? Why I say this, because at least when the dad is going to play some sports, badminton or anything, the mom can go do pedicure or go massage, and the children can go play their game or go to taekwondo classes. I have never seen that done before, except for I've been to Eco Ardens, which I thought it was similar to what it was doing. There was a football field, and at the same time they preferred a platform of eateries, and like Yao Yao was there. I think I don't remember what else was there, but yeah, that's actually a good example. Start having a lot of see how you can grow the economy together now. Sports and I don't know what is shopping mall under the sector of. So
Okay.
I hope you get me what I'm trying to say. It's just that I feel that we have to
Be
go
a bit
back
more
to
realistic.
be more realistic. We have to go back to what makes sense.
Yes. All right, Faiz, thanks a
Once
lot.
again, this is my opinion.
Yeah, and that's what we celebrate, mate. People's opinion. Right, so thank you very much. I got a few questions to ask you, right? But I want to go to Dr. Subra. Then after that, I'm going to open the floor to the listeners who have want to share. Faiz, you summoned Safirul and he's already here.
Alhamdulillah.
So we'll bump him up later. Dr. Subra, question is, right, when we talk about value of sports, right, a lot of times people talk about the tangibles, but that's easy, right? We can always calculate, the contribution to the economy, looking at it through revenue or looking at it through expenditures, and we already get the value. That's easy. I want to talk more about the social capital. Yeah, Dr. Subra.
Yep.
We were talking about racism. We were talking about social cohesion. I want to ask you, sports has been around for many, many years. Yet, especially when it comes to racism here, not just here in Malaysia, but everywhere around the world, we still see racism very rampant here in the country. Racism results to a lot of social problems. And my question is that, despite sports being around for so many years, and sports being called upon as an instrument or an element that is able to create so much social capital and cohesion within a society, why is it that we still see rampant amount of issues related to racism or, racism? Yeah, why is it, Dr. Subra?
Right. Just spare me 1 minute to touch on something that Faiz said, because grassroots has been very dear to my heart. Would you allow me to say something?
Definitely, Doctor.
Okay. Now, yes, I've been in Japan, and when FAM signed with JFA, I agree with Faiz 100% that we cannot take a marketing plan of one company and just put it upon another company and to say that if they have succeeded, we will succeed. But at the same time, I would say the rod starts at the schools. Being a teacher for 12 years when I was teaching, you know how they appoint the football teachers in the school? During the first year, when the 1st January, when we report to school, there is a staff meeting. Just before the school starts, there's a staff meeting, and the headmaster or the pengetua will ask, cikgu mana yang boleh main bola? Siapa yang tahu ajar bola? If someone says, saya suka bola, cikgu. Okay, cikgu guru bola. And there was a school in PJ where, and at that time I was already in FAM. I was in FAM for about 14, 15 years. And I was the director of youth for about 6 to 7 years. Half of it I was dealing with youth. And I went to the school because they had a good field. I wanted to see if we could do something with them. So I waited in the headmaster's office. A lady teacher came and sat, and then the pengetua said, Cik Subra, bolehlah bincang. I kata, mana guru bola dia? Ini dia puan yang guru bola. Then I was shocked. So I asked her, cikgu ajar apa waktu co-curriculum bola sepak? She told me, Cik Subra, kerja saya pastikan tak ada apa-apa yang berlaku, pemain budak-budak semua selamat, saya bagi dia bola, dia orang main sendiri, lepas tu dah habis, semua dah selesai, saya kata hantar balik bola ke store, pastikan semua orang balik, then I go back. That is not football. That is not football. That is killing football. That's number one. Number two, I was in Bangsa Zone. the Bangsa zone, the state decides on what kind of competition a school plays in the inter-school competition in order to go on to the inter-district, then finally to the interstate. They do knockout, kalamati. So if I have a school, if I have a Maradona in my school, football is not decided by a single player, but other players are not good enough, and my team goes into the league and into the knockout and we lose, I do not play football for the rest of the year. That means my school has played only one single game, competitive. That's not football. Okay? And at the end of the day, for MSSM, for Majlis Sukan Sekolah Malaysia, it is a tick on the calendar to say that the competition has taken place. As opposed to Japanese high school and middle school play roughly between 50 to 80 competitions. We can follow this. There's nothing wrong. We have the football fields, we have teachers, we have coaches. We can do it. Why can't we emulate them? Because the schools want to champion football. Yeah? But they do not know what to do. In Japan, the teachers do not get involved. They assign club coaches to come and train them. So that is the second problem. Now, the third problem is all professional clubs in Malaysia shall, now I use the word shall have club licensing approved. One of the criteria of club licensing is grassroots and youth development. There must be a grassroots, there must be a youth director. But except for JDT and maybe Selangor, I honestly, correct me if I'm wrong, I do not see any other state, maybe Terengganu, I do not know, Yunus, you might know better, might have a program, but still, it is not as what the clubs, maybe in Belgium and so on, we can emulate that. What's wrong? What's the problem with having a grassroots development? The problem is, when I was in FAM, the FA Malaysia managed the academies in the States, which we should not. Why did we do that? Because if we give that 1 million ringgit for them to manage, that money will go to the first team and the academies will disappear. And eventually it disappeared in 2007, 2008. So, grassroots development has to start. Schools must play inter-class, inter-house, inter-school league, more matches to be played. And it has to be the culture, playing culture. Now, coming back to the question of you, whatever you asked on the racism and so on, I would point my finger straight at education, parenting. Those were the days. I'll give you an example. There were a time when I would go into a friend who is a Malay or a Chinese and just drink and eat anything I want. I know that during Hari Raya, they will have something specially cooked for me, and the makcik will tell, Subra, ini daging ya, jam makan. But there's come a time now, either these kids, the Chinese kids or the Malay kids, do not want to come to an Indian kid's house because they are afraid. Who warns them? The parents. Same thing, when an Indian kid goes, the mother says, be careful, they will cook beef. This is where the racism starts, which never existed in the 60s and 70s, which I experienced personally. I'm not here. It's not hearsay. I have experienced it myself. You know, very bravely I will go during Raya, and I know that I will not eat beef. So, coming back to education, if our education system, our politicians have cronyism, have nepotism, have racism in their way of managing,
money-driven.
Yes, absolutely. It seeps into sports. It has seeped into sports. I'll give you one example just before I finish. There was a year, I wouldn't mention who, but I'll tell you, there was a year when I was coaching the national under-14 team. There were a couple of Indian boys and some Chinese, one Chinese boy, a couple of Indian boys. Someone came and asked me, ni apa ni, MIC ke? But that was uncalled for. having 2 or 3 Indian boys who are good, they deserve to be there. I didn't say when there is a group of Malay boys, all totally Malay boys, I didn't say ini UMNO ke? No, I didn't say that. I wouldn't say that. The best in the country shall represent the country. That is period, nothing much. But that is not happening. I'm telling you, it's not happening. If for it to happen, coaches need to be educated, administrators need to be educated, politicians need to be educated politicians. Yeah, because otherwise we are not heading anywhere. We can have Michael Schumacher, but if we have a car which has got no power, he will not be driving it as much as well as any other better cars. So I would say this social capital that we want to invest in must come with its condiments. Yeah, these condiments that I'm talking about is in educating. We should say everybody follow this road. This is how we are going to do it. But having said that, I would not agree with Hafiz to say that we go one at a time. We have a long-term vision, but we go one at a time. Break that long-term vision into pieces. Okay, Japan had a 100-year vision of winning the World Cup by 2092. And they did it in somewhere in 1990, 1991, 92. And they have actually are on their way to achieving it. And mind you, in 1992, there were about 40 Japanese football experts who came to Malaysia to study our semi-pro league, to look at our semi-pro league and how we manage. They did not take wholesale. They took what is relevant to their culture, their people, and they went back. Okay? And look at them. They started later after us, and they are somewhere. We can achieve. But as what you said, Yunus, that has to change. That part of educating these youngsters has to change. Then we will be on our way.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Sabah. I think that's very apt and critical as well.
Can I jump in before? Yeah.
Boleh.
Hi, Dr. Subra. I mean, I really totally agree with you 100%, in terms of unity and, racial togetherness. We don't have that, And if you've been following us on social media platforms, we always keep saying that, I think sports is not the problem. We should focus on education. Even I gave up, to tell you the truth, last year, I gave up on dealing with KBS. I straight away went to our education minister because I wanted to do a program for futsal for inter-zone bangsa. I wanted to try like a small program. So the thing is, it took me like 6 months for me to finally get a face-to-face, which I think doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to be that late to do, because I've already presented to them what they can do, and the only thing they can say to me was, Faiz, I don't know how much I can help you. I can help you and push this thing to happen, because I spoke to one of the KSU. They said that I can show, but if my bosses change, I have no idea. You have to start back from ground zero. So from there, I knew, it cannot be fixed now. It really cannot be fixed now. So maybe don't get me wrong, I kind of like your idea with the long-term thing. Yes, I also have a long-term thing plan, but I think we have to be honest that we cannot achieve long goals anymore. Why don't we just start short first? Just try small first, and from there we pick it up and do bigger and bigger and bigger, because our generation has definitely failed. Like you say about the Japanese thing that they came here. One of the good examples was Japanese badminton team. Okay, you have no idea where Japan came from, and they were the Thomas Cup champion, beating us in the final, and they had a Malaysian coach in there. Sadly, this is what's going on with our sports. Not just because of badminton, football, and other sports that's going on. It's just that we started football early in the 80s. We were successful early in the 80s. But somehow, somewhere, we dropped and Vietnam started to follow to rise up. Myanmar started to rising up. Now we can see that Philippines are becoming like a strong household in Southeast Asia. We are going backwards, which I think everybody in the sport industry knows that we all are going backwards. But I don't know. We have to come up with a solution. I mean, everybody has a solution. Everybody has a way to need, but everything is all on verbal talks. There can nothing be done, because I've been talking like for the last 5 years. I've been sending my proposals and everything, but it doesn't go through. I have no idea. So can you just share with me, or anyone here share with me, what is the problem in that? I'm having great ideas here, but nobody's listening.
Hafiz, if I may just interject, and I totally agree with you on action not being taken. I'll give you an example here, Hafiz. When Faiz, sorry.
Yeah,
when YB Azalina was the sports minister, when YB Hishamuddin was the education minister, we had the 8 core sports. One of the sports was football, and I was a member of that committee. And it went on very well because of the sports minister, the education minister. So the schools have no say to turn us down. So FAM was anchoring the whole thing, and the sports ministry and the thing. Education minister supported us. But change of minister, the whole thing was dropped. That is not the way. That's why I have been telling, make it an act of parliament. I mean, this is the way I look at. Make it an act of parliament, like what Japan has done, so that consecutive future ministers to come have to follow this. That means our aim is in 100 years, we got to do this. Whether you make it an act or whether you make something that is to be followed. Yeah, it has to be. Now, why did I say we need a long-term plan? Now, in football, I wouldn't say for any other sport. In football, we have a thing called the 10,000 hours of coaching for a player to attain professionalism, or converted into 10 years of coaching. So, if you were to pick a kid at the age of 6 or 7, you know that by the age of 17 or 18, he has attained all the technical abilities and the tactical know-how, and then you got to just sharpen him in his physiologically, psychologically, and keep on playing, and so that he will play for another 6 to 7 years before he matures at the age between 24 to 28, he peaks. So that is the reason why I said you need a long-term plan. And then break it down. Let's say you have long-term, mid-term, short-term. What you say should fall into the short-term, but without a long-term, you wouldn't have a direction. That's what I meant by having a short-term plan. Of course, we have to break it down and bring it out to one single phase, that is 1 year, first 3 years, or first 4 years and the second 4 years. That is the reason why I say F30 by FAM will not work. I'm being very blunt. It is bound to fail. It has failed all this while. From 2018, it was done. 2021, we have not done anything in the last 3-4 years. So it is bound to fail, because we are good in drawing papers, but we are totally not good in executing it. That is our problem. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Faiz, for sharing your sentiments. Okay. I would like to invite the listeners, right, to come up and give a question or share their opinion on this matter. What we've got so far from our featured speakers are ideas are basically all related to the social aspect of the valuation of sports, right? That is where the true value lies. I think this is something that I need to bring up to the committee. You know, we've been talking a lot about the sports satellite account, which is a very tangible look into the value of sports. But there are the intangibles, which is the social capital that a lot of us are talking about. Going back to education, going back to schools, these are the things that we need to look into. And maybe perhaps whatever that we find from these sports satellite account, can be used to correct whatever irregularities that needs to be corrected. So I would like to invite any of the listeners who are interested to share their experiences, or have any questions to pass to Faiz or Dr. Subra. Please feel free to raise your hand, and I will bump you up as a speaker. So, ladies and gentlemen, while we wait for our, some of our listeners to come on board, Zudi, you're okay. I'm going to invite you. Hold on, Zudi. Is that a wave or an indicator that you're interested to be a speaker? Okay. All right. So we got a speaker, Zudi. Hello, mate. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks for letting me come on, and thanks for the talk tonight, guys.
Sure. Your question or remark?
Yeah, I have two questions actually. So, Dr. Subra, you mentioned about having years of experience within the football industry. In your years of experience, what do you think is the most easy or cheap way to actually make a difference within Malaysian football, as it's not as matured as other countries? And the second is for everyone here. What do you think is stopping the conversion of online viewers, since we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, watching our games, from coming to the stadiums and watching it? Thank you.
Okay. Did I get you right? You are asking me what is the easiest way to solve the Malaysian footballing problem? Was that the question?
It was more of what can we implement that you've seen from other more mature footballing industries or countries.
Okay, thank you. Now, basically, I would say, as far as football is concerned, the technical part of it, and that's what the Yunus mentioned, the intangible part. We are having problems with the intangible part. The technical part, yes, we can do it. I give you an example. We have been running football since 1984 on a semi-pro basis. And then in 1996, we became fully professional. Now, sad to say that our clubs do not have academies. But at one point of time, the FAM told clubs, in order for them to play in the professional league, they must have football academies. Now, my question is, if you do not have academies where you produce players, where are your professional players going to come from? That's number one. Yeah. So that can be emulated. We can follow. Okay. Now, the intangible part we have discussed earlier. It goes back to education. It goes back to parenting. You see, football is a game where it teaches you. It is not in Japan where all are Japanese. In Malaysia, we have a diversified group of people. So you learn to respect each other in a football team. You respect a friend of mine who is getting ready for prayers. I lower the volume of the television so that he prays peacefully, and then I carry on after that. I respect the referee, because at the end of the day, football players, out of if it is 100, only 10 will make it into professional football. The 90 will go back into society to serve the society. So football must do its due diligence, and it must do its good, so that these people who are playing football will become better citizens. That is the overall picture that we want to draw. Now, schools football has to be improved. Yeah. Technically, we are good. We have players. They say Malaysian players are technically. If all you need to do is a little brush up and so on. Yes, they are good. No problem. Facilities, football fields that are around are all taken up into, converted into condominiums and shopping malls and so on. Where are the kids going to play? Okay, so there should be also indoor football fields where it is we played multi-weather, any weather, all weather, all weather, so that we do not have to worry. It's like futsal, but it should be football. It should be artificial grass or totally grass. So these are basically, and the most important thing is we should have no politicians running football clubs. We should have football people running football clubs. I'm sorry to say that, because I can see. So the right people must run the football is a profession now. Why is it that only doctors who go through 4 years of medical degree can become a doctor? A physiotherapist must go through a physiotherapist course. But football, which involves millions and billions of dollars, you have someone who just comes and sits there and just waves his wand as he wants. That is wrong. I'm saying football is a profession. Get the professionals in. Let's see what happens. That's the question for your first one. I think the other one, Yunus or Hafiz, would be able to answer.
Okay, it's all right. I think the second question is posed to you, Dr. Subra.
The first one was the one that he asked what we could do, what we could learn from other countries, right?
Yes.
What is the second one?
Zuri?
The second one was about converting online viewers into actual people who go to the stadiums and watch the games.
Well, football is a product. It's like any other product. If you have an iPhone, whether you buy Samsung or whether you buy an Apple, because of the quality it has got, of the value it has. So if you want the people to go to the stadium and watch and support, the product has to be good. That means the football they play has to be good. Sad to say, our players can't even hold 3 string of passes together. Now, I'm giving you off the cuff just like that. They can't hold passes. It is not entertaining. Having said that, for a Malaysia Cup final, for a FA Cup final, Bukit Jalil will be filled to the brim. That means there is still life in Malaysian football. During the 1994, 95, 96, the Rasuah scandal, the match-fixing scandal, even during the scandal, after the scandal, during the finals, the stadium was filled. People forgive and they still come back. So don't you think that we have to do justice to them? So it has to be taken upon by clubs to produce good football. How do you create good football? You must have good coaches, you must have good players. But we are just not doing that. So if you want the people who watch online to sit back and lay in the house and not to go to the stadium, it is our mistake. Now, before I finish, I'll just share an experience. I was in Indonesia for 3 years. I was running the professional league in Indonesia. It is made up of 44 clubs. Would you believe that if you have Manchester United and Liverpool playing on the telly, the people will be at the stadium watching Surabaya playing against FC Jakarta? They have that kind of sentiments towards their club. Patriotic, passion is there. I don't see that in Malaysia. I honestly do not see that in Malaysia. The 3 years I was there, I could compare the difference between the Indonesian crowd for their clubs, support for the clubs, and the Malaysian clubs. Malaysians only come for FA Cup final and Malaysia Cup final. For a normal game, I think sometimes the people who come are the people who get free tickets. They don't pay. If someone needs to pay, you got to show them that you can play football. You got to invest. You got to invest. I'll give you an example. Juventus invested on Cristiano Ronaldo and paid him 30 million for the whole contract. That raised questions to the board whether they can make money. What they did, they raised their terraces, they raised their ticket, they raised everything. but their target was to recover this in the next 2 to 3 years, not immediate. Yeah, and they have calculated to the nearest penny. If we qualify for Champions League, this is what we make. If we are out in the quarterfinals, this is what we make. If we are out in the early rounds, this is what we make. And added up together with the broadcast rights, with the sponsorship and so on, we still do not lose. At the end of the day, that is football. And none of the Malaysians are looking at it from that point of view. That's what I would say. Thank you.
All right. Interesting perspective, Dr. Subra. Right. Thanks for your answer. Thanks, Judy, for the question. I want to go to Brother Carl here, who I just bumped up as a speaker.
Hey guys, just a context for this question. So I've been reading a lot of books about environmental science, communication studies and management, and also innovation. Strategic innovation management. Okay, so one of the things that the correlations between all these subjects is that communication has always been the important tool to do things, so all this while both Faiz and Dr. Subra has been talking about the social aspect, the economical aspect, and so on and so forth. So my question is also Faiz and Dr. Subra has already vented out their frustration in terms of getting the communications between stakeholders to get the act together or even go towards a workable action. So my question is, how can us in the grassroots and also people in the powers that be improve the level of communication and also the level of cohesion? Because, so I'm going to say this word again, trust deficit is big. Between the grassroots and the powers that be. So how does both ends can improve that communication level and comprehension? That's my question.
All right. Thanks for the tough question, Carl. Faiz, do you have any idea or response to this? Do you have any kind of communication or strategic communication suggestions on how we could, communicate the policies or procedures of the government?
Hi Carl, hi Zudi. Sorry, I'm having problems with my Twitter, so I don't know why I cannot hear when you guys ask question, but I can hear from my wife's phone. So, do you want me to be brutally honest or you want me to tapis sikit, Carl?
Brutal and dishonest.
Yeah, ikut Yunus.
Okay, if I had a chance to be honest, I think for now, if for us to figure out how we can have a better communication, it will not work unless we have somebody who really wants change in sport. Okay. Once again, you have to understand, we as a society and our mentality of growing up is like Dr. Subra said, is not. It has to be fixed in the education system. Okay, we are money-driven people. Okay. When I say money-driven people, kalau kita nak buat another project, cakaplah kita want to put the extra mile, put in another hour to do something, we will always question, what for? I'm not my payment is just 1,500. Why should I go another mile to just help to bring out sport? Yes, we don't have that nationality, that patriotism which Indonesia has. One thing that is good about Indonesia that I love, because I love going to Bali, and I realize what they do is this: every Friday, they will bring every children will bring their own penyapu tau. Okay, they have this working together where I think schools there implement. I don't know if this is right or wrong. Schools there implement that they need to clean up the school together. I don't remember the last time when I was in school that we had everybody bringing their own penyapu. Maybe ada lah twice a year ke, ada satu session cuci sekolah lah, like that. But I don't remember like us doing it every once a week. So I feel that I don't know the level of communication macam mana lagi kita nak tunjukkan kepada our KBS, our menteri. Kita advise tutup kilang pun nobody is going to listen. Okay, because it's somehow we are not important. I mean not say important lah. I understand they have their own plans where they're opening up kilans. They want to scare. I better drop this. Okay, I'm just saying that communicating with the government now or whoever's going to be in charge is actually the point where we have to focus on. If you have somebody who's into sports, okay, like Dr. Subra said, if you have somebody who is experienced, let's say who is a good example? Okay, Lim Tiong Kim is the president of FAM. Okay, I believe he's going to do for the best of football. Of course, you need to do for the best of the business part, but at the same time, he works on football first. Same goes to our problem now in Malaysia is the number of cases of COVID. So if you have somebody like Dr. Hisham, Dr. DG in charge and doing focusing on killing the virus first, I think it's best that we put somebody. You see what I'm trying to say? You have to put somebody who is passionate to
competent.
To fix the problem. Sorry, my vocabs range are not that good. So that's the thing that I want to express myself as well. You know, even in schools we have this part where yesterday I was in Clubhouse and I heard one of the people in the, I think he's a pejuang person, pejuang punya somebody lah, he's there. So dia kata that yang the problem is actually in the rural area, okay, but he has not emphasized on how we can get connected between us, the urban people, and the rural area. Okay, dia tak tahu what comes in the middle. Do you know that some people yang in the rural, let's say people who is not very good at English or who's not very educated, very well, not that smart in school, maybe they come into that Clubhouse. Okay, it's a platform for us to hear and everything, or whatever they want to say and voice out their opinions, and maybe listen to whatever can help to build up the future. Once dia masuk je, dia dengar such big words, scary words, they will definitely go out. And from there, we are losing our communication. So I don't know if that answers your question, Carl. So in the same way, no matter how we put our message out there, I am still frustrated because for the last 10 years, I've been putting my communication out there. Maybe I'm nobody in the industry, but somebody has to make sense right now. Somebody has to make sense. I really thought it was KJ who's going to make a change, but once again, dia pun ada somebody who is on top of him and say he's. I believe that he wants to do things sincerely, but I feel that I think dia tersekat kot. There's something up there tak bagi. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Sorry,
thanks for your opinion. Carl, I just want to mention this, Carl. I think Bahas Bola did a very quick Twitter poll, and we find that, from our readings, our research, we find that leadership or trust is a combination of ethics and competence. We did a very quick poll with the leadership, and we found out that a lot of people find that he has no problem with his ethics, no problem the fact that he's a very sincere guy and he's very authentic with his efforts. The only concern was that he did not have the kind of resources that is able for him to do his work. So a lot of people felt that he was helpless as well, especially at this time when a lot of our ministers do not have the kind of power that they used to have when times were normal. So yes, I agree with you that work needs to be done, especially at the competence part. But it also boils down to what Faiz keeps on talking about, the people on top.
Okay. Once I just want to apologize again. I think because I am just passionately upset and everything was going on with our industry. So I do apologize if I do come out wrong, but I hope you guys understand that I really sincerely want to fix our sports, our football properly. It's just that I come to a point I'm so angry I don't know what else to do.
Apa bro?
I'm so sorry, man.
Apa bro?
Virtual hugs.
You're basically echoing a lot what a lot of people are feeling too. So and I think a lot of people would appreciate that, for sharing whatever your opinions are, right, mate? So don't be apologetic about it.
Faiz, I'm happy that you have said that we are in the same boat. So not to worry. You have someone to vouch for you.
There you go. Okay.
Thanks, man.
I want to go to Safirul. Safirul is the last person I'm bumping up here as a speaker. Safirul, do you have any question or remark that you'd like to make?
Nothing but something. Okay. No. Tadi, I think someone was talking about communication. I think Carl brought that up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a real issue in communication. Okay, but I'm not gonna speak as though that I have the recipe for everything. But I just want to touch on certain things yang comes up to my mind at the moment. On communication part, I have to say this. Carl mentioned something about the powers that be. The powers that be, that means whoever that is the decision maker at this moment, tak kira dia dekat mana, dekat kementerian, dekat persatuan, or dekat any head of program, at anything at all yang involve national initiative or national policy. I think honestly the reason why they fail at communicating is because they do not find where the conversation is. Contohnya kan, if you have spaces or clubhouse ke apa ke, you don't see people who can decide. Berlumba-lumba nak pergi ada juga kat situ. So pada dia orang ni, for this is just my observation, probably from zaman Datuk Isham and then many ministers already. I was involved dekat KBF in different capacity. Kalau nak tunggu someone yang ada the decision maker to speak, it needs to be a formal place or a conference or a seminar. Technology has evolved so much that you as somebody yang can decide on important things, you really have to sniff and look around for conversation. Then you put yourself there and answer questions. You can come here to Clubhouse, you can go there, and you yourself become, if you happen to be the punching bag of the night, so be it. But you have to address issues, because from there you can use that platform to communicate. If the problem is communication, that means why are all these people not communicating, not having two-way communication? Semua nak bagi tahu aja, nak keluarkan kenyataan saja, or nak cakap pasal this and that, tapi they're not the general in front. So that seems to be for me, itu masalah. Tapi if you have someone yang always in the limelight, always dia terkedepan dalam apa-apa jenis isu pun lah, kan, dia lah nak kena jawab sebab apa vaksin cocok kosong, dia lah nak kena jawab sebab apa masalah ni kat MUA ke apa kat situ. You see what I'm getting at? It opens themselves up to other issues. Kena juga, because kita ni bukan kira kan, kita marhain kan rakyat. So bila duduk kat ni, ada chance je nak bantai, kita bantai. Tak factual pun kita bantai juga. So most probably many of the decision makers, and most of them are politicians, are shying away from conversations because of this. Takut. So the result is no communication. No communication. That's what I feel. Especially nowadays with technology, with Clubhouse and Spaces and all that, with Twitter and social media, you don't have any excuse anymore that you are not, and with big data availability and all that, yang you tak tahu what people out there are talking about. Tak ada excuse anymore. So you either you tahu, or you just shy away, or you put your head in the sand, or you just tunggu the right time keluarkan kenyataan. One kenyataan is, to you, is considered communication. That's not right. The best thing to do is to listen. And after listening, and then you try to address some issues. And do not claim to try to become the hero, to try and solve everything in this world, or in Malaysia, or in sports, or in football. I'll give you an example. Masa kita nak buat NFDP dulu, 2014, aku ni tak boleh bagi contoh lain selain daripada NFDP sebab I was hands-on. I was hands-on. So of course, being nak buat nak cari masalah bola sepak ni kan, of course you go out there and talk to people, listen to some of our legends daripada, banyak lah, pendengar tu banyak, but at the end of the day, you have to you ask this to yourself: are you able to solve everything, or you can pick one thing that you champion it and you try to solve it? So kebanyakan daripada menteri-menteri sebelum ni, I noticed that they are trying to solve too many things, but not tak pilih one specific thing yang dia orang rasa, okay, at least if I have one term here at KBS for example, at least dalam 1,000 benda adalah 2 benda aku settlekan. So benda macam tu, it is very meaningful, because you might not be able to solve so many other things, but you might be able to find a long-term solution for one or two things. So masa dekat NFDP kan, kita memang present dekat menteri, champion lah. Oh, kita boleh solve ni whatever liga daripada atas sampai ke bawah, grassroots, sekolah-sekolah semua kita tapak. But in reality, this is what I learned. One of the valuable things that I learned from my BKJ is, dia cakap, Saf, kau jangan macam nak try jadi hero boleh tak? Kan? You pick one thing and we try and put our emphasis in this issue alone for the next 4 years. And tengok whether we are on the right track or not. So dia potong whatever recommendation yang yang banyak, walaupun betul, dia akan cakap, kata, okay, ni tak payah, you just focus on this one thing only, which is youth elite. Because he believe youth elite program tu, sebab dah seksa macam mana nak buat bagi all this club, like Dr. Subra said lah, if you give 1 million to clubs, they probably spend it on the first team. So how to do the youth elite program so that they become a pemangkin kepada grassroots, whatever that is below that level, and also whatever that is on top of that level surrounding youth elite too will organically grow. So
Safirul,
yeah.
I got
okay.
a question. I got a question, right? Like,
Okay.
For example, like, do you think that once with all the programs that's being invested by the government, like the NFDP, that you you became the first CEO for it, do you think that program could have been a lot more successful if there was, better communication or better support for that program? Do you think that it would be a lot more, it would be optimized than it was then?
Number one, we need to ask ourselves this: what is our definition of a program that is not being successful? So how do we define whether that program, especially long-term program, whether it is successful or not? Itu satu. Because that's very important. It goes back to what Faiz cakap earlier about it's a long-term plan. Suddenly sebab apa you fire someone and all that. So it goes back to that. Shoot number satu. But if you ask me whether if I were given the chance to restart it, katalah kita time travel back to 2014, would I have started it any differently? Is that better, Yunus?
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't change anything because the initiative or what we were trying to do tu sebenarnya tak akan berubah, which is to get everyone aligned to reach a certain objective. Get KPM apa semua tu, we just focus in youth elite sebab we need to have district training centres, sekolah rendah and sekolah menengah in every district kalau boleh. So we started off in that with that direction. But we know that it's going to be difficult. We know that it's not going to be just a matter of okay, menteri cakap dekat menteri or PM cakap dekat Kementerian Pendidikan, okay, you kena buat ni, kena buat ni. No, there has to be an understanding and agreement and agree to disagree for among everyone, among all the stakeholders. Kan? So dia kena ada the spirit of it.
The benefits that we've attained from the National Football Development Program.
Yeah.
Do you think the benefits that we've attained justifies the investment that's been made by the government?
Okay. Why don't I put it this way? If I were you, katalah if it's you trying to gauge the effectiveness of the NFDP, what would you look at? Kalau program tu start 2014, what do you expect in 2021?
I have no idea, mate. But what I can tell you is that on an economic sense, I think that there's really no significant benefit there. But the social capital needs to be justified, and I think that's the benefit that needs to be positioned in order to justify the investment that's been made.
Okay, I'll give you an example. In 2020 alone, which is last year, the amount of or the value of the contract that has been signed by NFDP graduates are close to $5 million. So that's one lah. That's one. So ni termasuklah kontrak-kontrak yang managed to sign overseas and also domestically. Whether the question remains whether betul ke the first batch or the second batch of NFDP yang baru graduate ni is better quality than the players, than the youngsters before. That will be the question, kan? Because so in order for that to happen, we have to wait until these players mature in their ages until a point where bila diorang masuk national team, whether our national team punya quality will be still at the same or better. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's still too early for us to make any kind of evaluation.
Yeah. Can I interject and ask something, Safirul?
Yeah, sure.
Of course.
I know Safirul for a long time, but there is a question that has been in my mind for quite some time. Number one, why football alone? That's my first question, why football alone? Whereas badminton, we are world class. Squash, we have world class. We had a world class player at that time. Why don't invest into a sport where we are world class so that we can sustain ourselves at a world class level? Okay. Why football? That's number one. Number two, when we have the main stakeholder, FAM, okay, they are the people given the mandate to run football in the country. Why start a parallel program by NFD by the Kementerian Belia dan Sukan, because having said that, I know FAM has not done its job, but to me, I feel you could have done the whole thing with FAM, because there was a time when the players who could qualify, you guys said you would prepare the players to qualify for the World Under 16 or Under 15 Championships, but FIFA offers the space to FAM, not to KBS, and you guys have to go back to FAM. So there was a little bit of tussle there from one point of view. So the question that always runs in my mind is, why NFDP? Why only football? Why not put that amount of money into also other sports? Maybe identify 3 or 4 sports. So what do you think? What was the idea behind it?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Subra.
Safir, can you give a short answer to this, because we have already reached to 10:30.
I will try my best. It's such okay. Number one, why football? It's a very legit question. Now, unless you can name a single sport in this world yang boleh open up pintu rezeki to Malaysians to get for it to become a profession, and ada tak anything as lucrative as football? Maksudnya, let's say I say badminton. If we decide to put investment in badminton, are there any platform that is similar or better than football in terms of human capital, in terms of getting an excellent professional contract, so that rakyat Malaysia can prosper in this world? So my short answer to that is, I tak nampak anything else other than NBA, MLS pun tak, sorry, NFL or any American sports. Yang lain-lain tu tak sampai ke tahap bola sepak. So if we can elevate the quality of Malaysian footballers, for example, to try in the future to compete for contracts in J League, K League, Europe, or anything that is better than here in Malaysia, I think we should invest in it. And I think that is the primary reason for us, rather than nak menang World Cup or nak masuk World Cup or to that. That means we can focus the effort to make sure that the next generation of footballers will be better quality than the ones before, so that they can really compete on merit to get those contracts. So if we can achieve that, it will be better, because the other results that we'll get from that is more people getting better contracts, more players playing outside of the country, and the better the national team will be. So lebih kurang sama macam style Japan jugalah, Doctor. So we couldn't find any other platform or sports yang yang banyak interest, yang we have a lot of interest. Football is still the number 1 sports in this country, yang kita boleh buat macam tu. So I guess that is not the only reason, but the primary reason why NFDP was decided upon. Your second question on FAM. Okay. I know I've told this story many times in clubhouses and spaces about the challenges. Every time kita nak buat sesuatu, we need the of course we all know that the governing body of football in this country is FAM, and the governing football of the world is FIFA. We all know, there's no argument or no debates about that. But the reason the government had to figure something out was because of many years nothing has been working. It came out of frustration. Sama lah macam Faiz cakap tadi, we don't know what to do sampai tak jadi. So we decided at KBS and with MSN, okay, let's try and do this and try as best as possible to get FAM involved. So it wasn't like something yang has not been presented, the rough paper ke apa ke, to the FAM Exco or to FAM punya higher ups like the president or deputy president. It has been presented and FAM has given its endorsement on paper. Okay, jalan. Tetapi Dr. Subra, I understand what you're saying. Bila FAM cakap okay, jalan, siap FAM pun datang bila launching apa semua ni, tak semestinya dia on the same page. And that was the challenge that we want to take, so that one day FAM will take full responsibility to NMDP. Dia boleh ambil alih semua NMDP ni in jalan and make sure dia jalankan in the right way. So that was the whole intention. So I think it is still work in progress. And until the point where I guess the government feel that FAM is going to be fully responsible of this funding and to run this program as how we want to achieve it. So they will still run it from MSN as the secretariat, but they have 3 jawatan kuasa yang memang FAM is involved in sharing one of these the 3 jawatan kuasa. Jawatan kuasa pemandu kat atas pun they co-chair with minister. Jawatan kuasa kerja pun FAM co-chair, and jawatan kuasa teknikal pun FAM co-chair. So I think that should answer some of your concern, but I do agree that it is still a concern about getting everyone on the same page. Memang,
all right.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry,
okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Safiro, can I ask a quick question?
You tanya Yunus.
Yunus, I think
okay.
it's a yes or no je.
Okay. Safiro, it's a yes or no je, Safiro?
Okay, no.
Tak, nak bagi kau 1 million ni.
Aku dah jawab dah, no.
Okay.
Question, quick one.
Okay, no. You said just now that once you reach to a level that the players hit, macam last 2020 you said hit 5 million kan. So once that point where you hit your target, is there a chance calling back Lim Tiong Kim?
Lim Tiong Kim.
Yes or no?
Lim Tiong Kim is kalau you tanya aku, I wouldn't consider.
Really?
Myself, personally, I wouldn't consider.
Okay.
Because
so
he might be good as a coach, but not as a technical director. That is the short answer.
Okay, nanti kita borak lagi.
Alright.
Oh yeah. Maybe Safiro, you could start another one of those NFDP sessions again.
Tak mahu. Sama je cakap. Okay.
Alright. But anyway, man, thanks a lot for coming up as a speaker. I really appreciate it a lot. Guys, we've been really off tangent with this with what we're supposed to talk about, right? So I'm just gonna get back to what we're talking about here, which is about sports and econs, understanding true value of sports. A lot of what's been said by a lot of our featured speakers, as well as our invited speakers, has touched a lot about the importance of the elements or the intangible elements that are not really easily measurable. So these are the elements that we somehow need to also consider in any kind of valuation that we conduct for our sports. So apart from the sports satellite account, which looks into the tangible value of sports into the country, there are also the intangible ones, which are which are the social capitals, right? That we really need to consider, and then that's where Faiz and Dr. Subra was talking about going back to education, going back to our schools, parenting, So these are the things that we need to consider when it comes to policy design later on. Thank you very much. I will again to Faiz and Subra. Just before we end, Faiz, Dr. Subra, I want to give you guys 30 seconds to answer this golden question. What is it that you expect to see in the VC Sukarnegara 2030 blueprint? That one element or that one statement within the blueprint. Let's start with Faiz. Education, right, Faiz?
Yeah, education is first, but most importantly, I think let's focus on being transparency.
Okay, all right. Communication that Fairul was talking about, you were talking about it as well in response to whatever Brother Carl was saying. Communication. I think this is something that we've touched about last week as well. There will be more policy makers, decision makers, administrators that will be coming up on board. But most of the time, these administrators or policymakers are on board at the Libat Urus or the town hall sessions conducted by VSN 2030. So Twitter Spaces is more of a casual, relaxed kind of session where we open up for anyone, Faiz, Carl, people like myself, even people like Dr. Subra and Safiro.
Tak pernah relax pun. Kita cakap je relax, tak pernah relax.
Hey, relax lah, bro.
Seronok.
It's a more of a casual kind of session in comparison to the town halls, which is a bit more technical, is a bit more clinical. However, whatever is shared here is also taken into consideration. If you look at the listeners group down there, there's Remy, there's Shamil is there, who's always in this session to write down and record whatever that we're saying. In fact, these sessions are recorded. If you want to listen back to whatever that we've been, sharing and talking about, we can do so via YouTube. It'll be shared hopefully the next 48 hours. But if you want access to the decision makers or to the administrators, the best place is at the town hall sessions. So you look up at VSN 2030 social media platforms as well as their website. There will be information on when these town halls are being conducted. It happens on a weekly basis, and there's sometimes 2 to 3 town hall sessions on a weekly basis. All right, so that's where you can go to. But hopefully one day we'll have the minister in one of the Twitter Spaces sessions. All right, Dr. Subra, to you.
Yeah. Well, I would like to see education of our future, our children, education of our administrators, and at the end of the day, football has to be a culture, a way of life. This has to be embedded into whatever policies they are going to do, because if it is not a culture, it's not going to be a way of life. Yeah, basically that's it.
But not just football. Yeah, Doc.
I'm talking from the football perspective. Yeah, so the sport, it has to be from the whichever respective sport that we are getting into. So that has to be a way of life.
All right. Okay. I really like that. Sports being a way of life. Sports being an educator. Sports being a
culture.
medium to culture, to create culture. Yeah, that'll be really great. I think that's what the social capital that you're talking about. When the right education, parenting, then it will automatically create the kind of culture that we want to see here in this country. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Subra. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you as well to all the invited speakers who I bumped up and spoke about this topic. Zuhdi, Carl, as well as Safirul. See you guys next week. For the listeners, if you guys have any kind of aspirations that you want to share to the committee of VSN 2030, you can go online to the website vsn2030.my. There'll be a panel there where there's a button there where you can just click and then write whatever you feel, what you wish the sport industry would look like. Thank you very much. Have a good day ahead, and see you guys next week.